What if I told you that every emotion you display, every flicker of anger, fear, or even excitement, is secretly giving your power away? Imagine walking into a boardroom, a negotiation, or even a casual conversation, and realizing that your visible reactions, your clenched jaw, your raised voice, your nervous glance, are signals to others that they can manipulate you, predict you, control you. Most people live their lives as if emotion is harmless, as if letting it slip is normal, even human. But humans are weak. Humans are exploitable. Every smile, every frown, every gasp, every subtle twitch is a lever someone else can pull to bend you to their will. The 1% who understand this don't merely survive interactions, they dominate them. They command outcomes. They ensure respect and fear are earned and maintained simultaneously. Picture this. You're in a high-stakes meeting. A competitor challenges your strategy. Their words are sharp, designed to provoke a reaction, to make you defensive, to make you appear vulnerable. Most people snap, argue, or retreat emotionally, giving the upper hand to the aggressor. That is exactly how power shifts. But what if instead you sat perfectly still, composed, inscrutable? No hint of irritation, no sign of surprise, nothing but calm control. That competitor doesn't know whether you are agreeing, plotting, or already 10 steps ahead. In that instant, you own the room. They're reacting to you, not the other way around. That is the difference between living under the influence of others and commanding your life like a true master. You've been weak. Let's call it what it is. You've allowed your reactions to dictate your life, to dictate how people perceive you, to dictate the outcomes of deals, relationships, and opportunities. Every time you lose control, every time your feelings leak out unconsciously, you hand over power to someone else. But today that ends. Today, you step into a system that transforms you from reactive to unshakable, from visible to invisible, from a participant to the orchestrator. Today you learn the rules of emotional dominance, the step-by-step framework that the most powerful people in history have used to bend reality to their will. You will learn to manipulate outcomes, to control perceptions, and to make your presence both respected and feared. Every second you hesitate, every moment your emotion dictates your choices. Someone else is seizing the advantage. Time is not neutral. It is a weapon, and mastery over your own expression is the first rule of using it. In this video, you will discover practical methods to eliminate the leaks in your emotional armor. You will learn why detachment is power, why unreadability is influence, and how controlling your inner world ensures that others cannot control you. We're about to break down the rules, give you actionable steps, and show you exactly how to make emotional control your most lethal tool. Comment below if you're ready to stop letting your reactions dictate your life. Like this video if you're ready to build control so precisely that no one can touch your authority. Most people will never learn this skill because it is uncomfortable, because it requires relentless discipline. But the 1% who apply this will find themselves not just respected, but feared, not just listened to, but followed. Your transformation begins now. The moment you stop showing emotion is the moment you reclaim control over every outcome in your life. Every day, people hand over their power without even realizing it. A raised voice in a meeting, an anxious glance during a negotiation, a hint of frustration on a call, these small, seemingly innocent emotional signals can cost you far more than you think. Failed negotiations, lost promotions, and opportunities slipping through your fingers often trace back to one simple mistake: uncontrolled emotion. You don't just lose the deal, you lose credibility. You don't just miss the promotion, you lose the perception of reliability. You don't just have an argument, you create enemies who know exactly how to manipulate your reactions. Emotional vulnerability isn't just a personal weakness. It's a weapon that others wield against you every day, often without your knowledge. Consider the business world. CEOs who seem untouchable, leaders who command absolute respect, rarely react impulsively. They don't fume in public, panic under pressure, or reveal frustration in a boardroom. Their calm exterior masks a mind that calculates, observes, and manipulates outcomes with surgical precision. Contrast that with the manager who loses their temper during a presentation, who reacts to every challenge with visible fear or irritation. Their subordinates exploit it. Their peers undermine it. Every emotion displayed is a thread others pull to reshape the situation to their advantage. The cost of transparency is high. Resentment builds, trust erodes, and influence diminishes. People begin to see you not as a leader, but as a predictable, reactive participant in your own life. History is filled with examples of controlled versus uncontrolled personalities. Think of leaders like Napoleon or Machiavelli's subjects who thrived by concealing their intentions, never revealing more than necessary. Their rivals faltered because they exposed themselves, allowed feelings to dictate actions, and underestimated the power of strategic silence. In the modern workplace, the principle remains the same. Emotional exposure invites exploitation. Every moment you show weakness, others learn your patterns, your triggers, your fears. They leverage this knowledge to shape decisions, manipulate outcomes, and undermine your authority. The truth is stark. The world doesn't reward emotional honesty. It rewards control. The solution isn't to become heartless, to suppress every feeling until nothing human remains. The solution is far smarter, to become strategically untouchable, to project composure in every interaction, to ensure that every response is deliberate, every reaction calculated, and every action reinforces your position of power. Emotional mastery doesn't remove your humanity, it elevates it, transforming it into a tool that commands respect, fear, and influence simultaneously. Emotions are powerful, but only when controlled. Left unchecked, they dictate your choices, steer your decisions, and undermine your influence. Mastering emotional detachment means recognizing that every feeling you experience, anger, excitement, fear, even joy, is information, not instruction. Emotions are indicators, signals of potential opportunities or threats, but they are not commands. A master doesn't allow the rise of frustration or elation to dictate his next move. He observes, assesses, and acts with precision. Emotional detachment is not coldness, it is control. It is the ability to convert instinct into strategy, vulnerability into leverage, and chaos into command. Consider the world of high-stakes business. CEOs negotiating multi-million-dollar deals rarely let their emotions surface. When a competitor attempts provocation, they remain calm, unreadable, and deliberate. They do not raise their voices. They do not show irritation. They absorb the tension, analyze the situation, and respond only when they are certain the outcome will favor them. This composure is not natural. It is cultivated, trained through conscious effort and relentless practice. Their calmness is their weapon. While others react impulsively, they maneuver strategically, turning potential conflict into opportunity. Observers respect them, colleagues fear them, and opponents struggle to anticipate their next move. Emotional detachment is the key to becoming untouchable in these high-pressure arenas. You can train yourself to achieve the same control. The first step is simple yet rarely applied. Pause before responding. Every time a situation provokes you, take a breath. Allow the initial emotional surge to pass. Use it as data, not as fuel. Ask yourself, what is this emotion telling me? Is it a threat? A signal of opportunity? How will my response alter the outcome? By converting instinct into calculated analysis, you ensure that your actions reinforce authority rather than expose vulnerability. Practice observing your feelings without judgment. Name them silently: anger, frustration, desire, fear. Then detach and act based on strategy, not impulse. Implement this in daily life. In conversations, negotiations, or conflicts, never react immediately. Pause, evaluate, and then respond with intention. Write down moments when emotions almost dictated your actions. Analyze what triggered them, and plan an alternative reaction for next time. Over time, these pauses become second nature, and your detachment becomes your invisible armor. You will notice a shift. Colleagues and competitors begin to respect your composure. Adversaries hesitate to provoke, and opportunities present themselves because you are calm, deliberate, and untouchable. Comment below with one scenario where you've lost control, and start building your practice of deliberate detachment today. Like this video if you're ready to transform emotional weakness into unstoppable power. The 1% who master this rule do not just survive high-pressure situations, they dominate them. Words are powerful, but they are also dangerous. Every time you speak, you risk revealing more than you intend: your emotions, your priorities, your vulnerabilities. Mastery comes from knowing when to remain silent and when to let others fill the space with their own truths. Silence conceals intentions. Words reveal them. The more you talk without strategy, the more you expose yourself to manipulation, misinterpretation, and loss of influence. Observing more than you speak is not hesitation, it is dominance. By controlling the flow of information, you control the outcome of every interaction. History provides clear examples. Political leaders like Abraham Lincoln and Winston Churchill understood the lethal advantage of measured speech. They often let opponents speak first, probing for weaknesses, exposing biases, and revealing true intentions. Lincoln, during tense debates and negotiations, would often pause, listen intently, and then respond with precision. Churchill mastered the art of letting adversaries overcommit their words, then striking decisively based on the intelligence they had unknowingly revealed. Their silence was never empty, it was strategic. They controlled perception, shaped narrative, and extracted advantage from the unguarded moments of others. This is a skill you can develop immediately. Start with the 3-second pause before speaking. In every conversation, whether casual or high stakes, resist the urge to respond immediately. Let the words of others settle. Let the room breathe. Analyze the tone, the choice of words, the body language, and the hidden meaning behind statements. In meetings, practice asking precise questions and then stepping back. Allow colleagues, clients, or competitors to talk themselves into revealing their priorities, fears, or weaknesses. Observe carefully. Patterns emerge when you are patient. You will notice contradictions, hidden agendas, and opportunities that would have been invisible if you had rushed to fill the silence. Speaking less also commands respect. When you do speak, your words carry weight. People lean in, anticipating insight because they know you do not waste language on the trivial. You create an aura of authority and mystery. Others begin to mirror your pace, your calm, your control. You are no longer reacting to the chaos, they react to your composure. Your influence grows, not because you dominate the conversation with volume, but because every word you choose becomes a tool of strategy, calculated to maximize impact while minimizing exposure. Apply this today. In your next meeting, pause deliberately before responding. Ask questions that force others to reveal more than they intend. Listen without judgment, record mental notes, and let silence guide your understanding. Comment below with one insight you uncovered by observing quietly instead of speaking impulsively. Like this video if you're ready to silence your weapon and join the 1% who wield words as tools of power rather than traps of weakness. Provocations are everywhere. They are designed to unsettle you, to spark anger, to force a reaction that others can exploit. The world is full of people testing boundaries, pushing buttons, and attempting to manipulate outcomes by provoking emotion. The moment you react impulsively, you hand over control. Your adversaries gain the upper hand, your authority diminishes, and your opportunities vanish. Mastery requires recognizing that external triggers are not threats. They are tools, instruments that can only hurt you if you allow them to. Control the internal reaction, and the provocation loses its power. Military history offers a perfect blueprint. Successful generals in battle never let the chaos of the battlefield dictate their decisions. When attacks escalate, soldiers panic, and alliances wobble, the best leaders remain calm, deliberate, and calculated. Napoleon, Alexander the Great, and modern military commanders understand this instinctively. They know that emotional eruption is the fastest path to defeat. By neutralizing provocation with internal composure, they maintain tactical superiority. Their troops follow their lead, opponents hesitate, and the battlefield itself bends to the will of the unshakable mind. Calmness in the face of aggression is not just strategy, it is dominance. You can cultivate this skill in daily life. The first step is self-awareness. Identify your triggers. Know exactly which words, actions, or situations ignite emotion in you. The next step is preparation. Create mental scripts for confrontation. Responses that are deliberate, neutral, and controlled. Practice them until they become automatic. For example, when criticized aggressively, instead of snapping, pause, count to 3. Respond with a question, a neutral observation, or simply remain silent. The goal is not to suppress feeling indefinitely, but to manage the expression of it strategically. Another effective tactic is visualization. Before entering high-stakes meetings, difficult conversations, or social encounters where provocation is likely, imagine every possible scenario that could push your buttons. Visualize yourself responding with calm precision, unaffected by insult, bait, or challenge. When the real moment arrives, your mind defaults to mastery because it has rehearsed detachment. Over time, you become untouchable. People attempt to provoke, but you remain an immovable force. They quickly learn that trying to destabilize you is futile, and your reputation as a composed, formidable presence grows. Apply this now. Identify one personal trigger and craft a controlled response script for it. Practice it repeatedly until the reaction becomes automatic. Comment below with the triggers you've recognized and how you plan to neutralize them. Like this video if you're ready to stop letting others manipulate your mind, and join the 1% who turn provocation into power, transforming every confrontation into an opportunity for dominance. Silence is one of the most underestimated tools of power. While most people rush to fill every gap in conversation, to respond immediately to texts, emails, or provocations, the master knows that silence commands attention, creates tension, and forces others to reveal more than they intended. Every pause, every moment of deliberate quiet is a signal that you are in control. Silence is not absence, it is a strategic presence. It makes people uncomfortable, forces reflection, and often leads them to make concessions or expose vulnerabilities. When wielded properly, silence transforms ordinary interactions into arenas where you dictate the pace and the outcome. Consider professional negotiators. After delivering an offer, the skilled negotiator often remains quiet. They do not justify, explain, or react. The silence hangs in the air, a subtle but palpable pressure. Opponents begin to doubt themselves, overthink, and sometimes overreach. The room becomes yours, not because of louder arguments or better words, but because the quiet communicates authority and patience. This is a principle that applies across life: emails, social interactions, negotiations, even online messaging. Immediate reactions signal weakness. Strategic silence signals mastery. You can implement this immediately. Delay your responses to texts, emails, and requests, especially those designed to provoke an emotional reaction. In meetings or debates, pause before answering, long enough that the space of silence feels intentional. Resist the urge to fill gaps. Observe the discomfort it causes, the tension it creates, and let it work in your favor. People will speak more than necessary, reveal intentions, and sometimes even apologize or negotiate better terms. Silence turns the natural flow of conversation into a tool for influence, leaving others to chase the interaction on your terms. The key is deliberate practice. Start small, pause an extra 3 seconds before responding to any non-critical message or conversation. Notice the effect. Gradually extend this to more significant interactions. Every moment you choose silence over impulsive speech, you reclaim control, reinforce your authority, and create an aura of unpredictability. Silence is not passive, it is active, tactical, and profoundly effective. Comment below with one situation where silence could have strengthened your position. Like this video if you're ready to make silence your ultimate weapon, and join the 1% who bend conversations, negotiations, and relationships to their will. Humans reveal more than they intend. Words are deliberate. Body language is instinctive. Micro-expressions, subtle gestures, tone shifts, and involuntary movements betray emotion, intention, and vulnerability. To dominate interactions, you must learn to read these silent signals. Those who notice micro-expressions and decode body language gain a tactical advantage. They are 2 steps ahead, seeing the hidden truths others desperately try to conceal. Observation is the gateway to influence, control, and strategic mastery. Detecting lies, for instance, is rarely about catching inconsistencies in words. It's about noticing the subtle signals that accompany deception. A flicker of the eyes, a tightened jaw, a slight shift in posture, or a change in tone can reveal hesitation, doubt, or fear. Observing these clues allows you to respond decisively, exploit weaknesses, or anticipate moves before they are executed. Business leaders, negotiators, and world-class diplomats rely on this skill daily. They watch carefully, listen intently, and let the unguarded moments of others guide their strategy. By doing so, they remain calm, composed, and untouchable while everyone else reacts to emotion and assumption. Developing this skill begins with conscious awareness. Focus on people during conversations, meetings, or even casual interactions. Observe posture, facial expressions, gestures, and vocal inflections. Ask yourself, what is this movement telling me? Is it confidence, hesitation, concealment, or fear? The more you practice, the quicker you can recognize patterns and predict behavior. Soon, reading body language becomes instinctive and you start noticing what others cannot, giving you a silent, undeniable edge. Apply this in negotiation, leadership, and daily life. Watch closely, respond strategically, and let the knowledge gained from observation dictate your next move. The 1% who master this skill manipulate situations with precision because they understand the truth beneath the surface. What is said is only part of the story. What is revealed unconsciously is where power lies. Comment below with one moment you noticed someone's hidden emotion through body language. Like this video if you're ready to see beyond words and gain mastery over every interaction you face. Your emotions are not created in a vacuum. They are influenced by your surroundings. Noise, clutter, chaotic schedules, and uncontrolled interactions are triggers that chip away at composure, subtly eroding your influence and decision-making ability. Mastery begins by recognizing that external factors can either empower or destabilize you. Leaders who control their environment maintain calm under pressure, ensuring that stress does not dictate their behavior. By shaping your surroundings, you remove unnecessary triggers and give yourself a tactical advantage in every situation. High-performing leaders design spaces to reduce chaos and reinforce focus. Desks are clear, lighting is controlled, meetings are structured, and workflows are intentional. Every element is curated to reduce emotional friction and maximize composure. When pressure arises, these leaders remain unfazed, not because they are invincible, but because they have engineered an environment that supports calm, decisive action. A cluttered desk, a disorganized schedule, or a room filled with distractions is a battlefield you cannot win emotionally. Control your space and you control your mind. Apply this principle immediately. Begin by arranging your workspace to minimize stress, clear unnecessary items, organize materials for efficiency, and optimize lighting to remain alert yet calm. Review your daily schedule and interactions. Structure meetings, calls, and tasks to prevent unnecessary chaos and surprises that could trigger frustration. Set boundaries with colleagues, friends, or family members who habitually provoke emotional reactions. Environment is power. By designing it strategically, you reduce the chances of emotional leakage and ensure that your focus remains on outcomes, not distractions. Small adjustments yield enormous results. Replace uncontrolled spaces with order. Replace reactive schedules with proactive planning. Replace chaotic interactions with deliberate, measured engagement. The more intentional your environment, the less opportunity exists for emotions to hijack your decisions. Control the world around you, and your inner world becomes untouchable. Comment below with one environmental change you can implement today to maintain composure. Like this video if you're ready to take control of your surroundings and join the 1% who leverage their environment to amplify power. The world is a minefield of provocations, distractions, and emotional manipulations. Competitors, colleagues, and adversaries constantly test boundaries, hoping to elicit reactions they can exploit. Every insult, challenge, or unexpected pressure is a potential trap designed to make you lose composure and hand over control. The key to mastery lies in anticipation. When you predict these traps before they even appear, you gain a decisive advantage. You respond strategically rather than react impulsively. The moment you recognize the trap before it snaps shut, you maintain control, transforming potential vulnerability into tactical power. Preemptive awareness is the difference between being manipulated and dominating the encounter. History demonstrates this principle in action. Napoleon Bonaparte never faced an enemy blindly. He anticipated maneuvers, rehearsed responses, and visualized every potential provocation. Whether on the battlefield or in negotiation, he prepared for every emotional and strategic challenge. By planning his reactions, he ensured that adversaries could not exploit surprise, insult, or pressure. His calm, calculated demeanor under extreme conditions was not accidental. It was the product of deliberate, preemptive preparation. Modern leaders across business, politics, and high-stakes environments follow the same model. Those who anticipate emotional triggers neutralize the manipulator's power before it even manifests. They act from a place of control, transforming potentially destabilizing events into opportunities to assert influence and dominance. Implementing this principle begins with observation and reflection. Start by mapping the situations in your life where emotions have historically been weaponized against you. Identify the moments that trigger frustration, anxiety, or anger. These might include high-pressure negotiations, tense meetings, critical feedback, or social interactions where manipulation is likely. Once identified, visualize each scenario in detail. Picture the exact conversation, tone, gestures, and potential provocations. Then script deliberate, calm responses to each scenario. Practice them mentally, rehearse them aloud if necessary, until responding with composure becomes instinctive. By the time the real situation arises, your reactions are no longer impulsive. They are intentional, strategic, and designed to maintain authority. Preempting emotional traps also strengthens mental resilience. When you anticipate challenges, you reduce the likelihood of being caught off guard. You cultivate confidence because every response is planned and rehearsed. You project an aura of untouchable authority. People hesitate before attempting manipulation, unsure if their provocations will succeed. Colleagues, rivals, and adversaries begin to respect the control you exhibit. Rather than reacting to every stimulus, you orchestrate interactions, guiding outcomes while others stumble reactively. Emotional mastery becomes not just about internal calm, but external influence. This approach is scalable across every aspect of life. In business, anticipate negotiation tactics and difficult client questions. In personal relationships, foresee conflicts and prepare responses that maintain composure while asserting boundaries. In social or public situations, visualize criticism, confrontation, or unexpected pressure, and script responses that project calm and strategic authority. Over time, this preparation turns you into a proactive force rather than a reactive participant. You move deliberately, while others reveal their weaknesses, make mistakes, and surrender leverage to your disciplined composure. Begin today by selecting one scenario you can preempt this week. Visualize it fully, identify potential triggers, and script your calm, calculated response. Rehearse it until it becomes automatic. Comment below with the situation you plan to control, and like this video if you're ready to master anticipation. Join the 1% who transform potential emotional traps into opportunities for control, influence, and power. Mastery of this law is not occasional. It is habitual, strategic, and relentless. The world will attempt to provoke, but when you preempt, you remain untouchable. Distance magnifies power. When people cannot predict your emotions, they fear your unpredictability, respect your control, and respond to your authority. Emotional distance is one of the most potent tools a person can wield because it turns your inner calm into a weapon. It does not mean detachment from reality, indifference, or coldness. It means projecting neutrality, keeping intentions unreadable, and allowing others to operate without knowing your inner state. Influence grows exponentially when you maintain strategic ambiguity. Your composed exterior becomes a force that shapes behavior without a single word. People will act according to the limits of your calm, not the chaos of their own assumptions, and that is the essence of true authority. Consider Steve Jobs, a master of emotional distance. He maintained deliberate ambiguity in high-pressure meetings and product launches, never revealing fully whether a decision, critique, or instruction would be met with approval or correction. Teams never knew whether their work had satisfied him. The uncertainty created focus, urgency, and meticulous execution. Jobs' emotional neutrality wasn't isolation, it was tactical. It amplified his influence, ensuring that employees and collaborators operated within the bounds of his controlled expectations, rather than guessing, overcompensating, or attempting to manipulate outcomes through emotional cues. Jobs turned unpredictability into a psychological lever, one that forced peak performance and obedience without overt coercion. The principle is clear. When others cannot read your feelings, your authority becomes unassailable. Your influence invisible yet undeniable. You can apply this in any environment, business, personal relationships, or social situations. Begin by maintaining composure during tense moments. Observe and analyze before revealing judgment, criticism, or even casual opinion. Respond with neutrality, letting your words and actions carry calculated weight. Avoid signals, verbal or nonverbal, that hint at your internal reactions. In negotiations, allow others to reveal their positions first. In meetings, let colleagues over-explain their points while you remain observant. Your neutrality becomes a lever. They shape their behavior according to your controlled responses rather than assumptions about your emotional state. Over time, colleagues, competitors, and peers notice your consistent calm, and respect, influence, and authority naturally follow. Emotional distance is subtle but extremely powerful. It works because people instinctively fear unpredictability. Those who read emotional cues for manipulation or advantage cannot do so when none exist. By remaining strategically unreadable, you create a psychological edge. Individuals adjust their behavior around you, defer to your judgment, and even reveal intentions and vulnerabilities without realizing it. The less they can predict your emotional reactions, the more control you hold over outcomes. You are not forcing compliance through intimidation. You are shaping behavior through the absence of volatility, through the presence of deliberate neutrality. Daily practice reinforces mastery. Start with small, controlled exercises. Pause for a few seconds before responding in meetings or emails. Observe body language before speaking, and maintain a calm tone even when provoked. In negotiations, deliberately delay reactions, letting the other party reveal their priorities first. In personal conflicts, allow others to express frustration or opinion without immediately reacting. With repetition, this neutrality becomes instinctive. Your external composure will be seamless, and your internal analysis sharp, giving you unmatched influence. Emotional distance is not passive, it is active, subtle, and commanding. This approach also magnifies authority because it makes your presence unpredictable. People quickly realize that you are not guided by emotion. Your actions are deliberate, calculated, and strategic. That uncertainty, combined with your control, generates respect and fear simultaneously. Leaders who master emotional distance move through challenges effortlessly, turning tense situations into opportunities for leverage, persuasion, and dominance. It is not about hiding weakness. It is about amplifying power through composure, leaving others to act according to your strategic pace, rather than their emotional impulses. Apply this today. Identify one scenario, an upcoming meeting, negotiation, or confrontation, where you will maintain complete emotional neutrality. Practice observing, pausing, and responding deliberately. Comment below with the situation you will control this week, and like this video if you are ready to leverage emotional distance as a tool of power. Join the 1% who influence without exposure, command without overt pressure, and master the art of shaping outcomes through calm, calculated, and untouchable authority. Emotion is energy, raw, potent, and undeniable. If harnessed properly, it fuels action, creativity, and strategic advantage. Left unchecked, emotion becomes a drain, clouding judgment, weakening focus, and undermining results. Suppressed or uncontrolled feelings sap your effectiveness, making even small tasks overwhelming. But when mastered, the same energy becomes a weapon, a force multiplier that propels you forward with precision and intensity. The master does not allow frustration, anger, or anxiety to dictate behavior. Instead, each feeling is observed, assessed, and redirected into a calculated strategy. Uncontrolled emotion is chaos. Controlled emotion is a weapon, a tool that can amplify power, influence, and performance in every area of life. Recognize the raw energy in your feelings, and then redirect it toward deliberate, productive outcomes that enhance your position rather than compromise it. Athletes provide one of the clearest illustrations. Before a high-stakes competition, nerves surge, adrenaline spikes, and the body feels alive with tension. The difference between mediocrity and excellence is how this energy is channeled. The nervous competitor crumbles under pressure, their performance erratic and unfocused. The disciplined athlete converts that same energy into precision, focus, and relentless execution. The principle applies universally. Life, leadership, and power demand the same mastery. Frustration at a colleague's repeated mistakes can fuel a drive to streamline processes. Anxiety about an upcoming negotiation sharpens preparation and strategic foresight. Anger at betrayal can be transformed into decisive action, carefully calculated rather than reactionary. Emotion is inherently neutral. It only becomes destructive if left untamed, but when directed intentionally, it becomes a source of unstoppable momentum. Implementation begins with awareness. Every time a strong emotion arises, pause and label it without judgment. Frustration, anxiety, anger, or even excitement. Then ask yourself, how can this energy serve me strategically? Channel nervous energy into thorough preparation. Redirect anger into decisive communication or strategic planning. Convert anxiety into problem-solving focus or tactical foresight. Create daily routines designed to transform raw emotional intensity into actionable output. Techniques like visualization, controlled breathing, and pre-scripted responses reinforce this practice, conditioning the mind to respond to emotion with deliberate, productive action rather than impulsive reaction. Over time, mastering this law transforms your relationship with your feelings. Emotional highs and lows no longer destabilize you. They propel you forward. Frustration becomes a catalyst for innovation. Stress sharpens clarity and focus. Fear becomes a signal to prepare and act with foresight. Your energy is no longer a liability. It becomes a weapon, empowering every decision and interaction while those around you falter under the weight of uncontrolled emotion. Leaders, negotiators, and high performers across industries thrive because they convert what others perceive as weakness into unparalleled strength. They operate at peak efficiency while the majority are overwhelmed, distracted, or immobilized by the very feelings they fail to master. Apply this today. Identify one strong emotion you are currently feeling, frustration, anxiety, or anger, and consciously redirect it toward a productive, strategic outcome. Visualize the scenario, act deliberately, and measure the impact. Comment below with the emotion you plan to transform, and like this video if you're ready to weaponize your feelings. Join the 1% who have learned to convert raw emotion into unstoppable power, turning what once threatened control into a force that drives results, influence, and authority in every arena of life. In the realm of power and influence, vulnerability is currency, and giving it away freely is a costly mistake. Every emotional disclosure, every confession of doubt or fear, is ammunition for those seeking advantage. Others observe, analyze, and exploit emotional signals to manipulate decisions, undermine authority, or control outcomes. The elite understand that control over personal emotion is inseparable from control over influence. To preserve power, you must learn to process internally, shield your thoughts, and reveal only what strengthens your position. Machiavelli himself emphasized this principle. Leaders who display emotional turbulence invite chaos and manipulation. They appear weak, unpredictable, or reactive, and subordinates or rivals capitalize on these cracks in their armor. Historical examples abound. Commanders who openly expressed frustration or doubt saw troops lose confidence. Diplomats who revealed fear or bias allowed negotiations to tilt against them. Emotional transparency, absent strategy, is dangerous. Conversely, leaders who master this law remain unreadable, projecting calm and control, and forcing others to act within their parameters, not theirs. Implementation begins with self-awareness. Identify the emotions that most frequently influence your decisions: frustration, anger, fear, or impatience. Observe these responses without judgment and develop internal methods for processing them: journaling, meditation, reflection, or deliberate breathing. This ensures that your internal state is stabilized before interacting externally. By converting emotional energy into structured, deliberate thought, you prevent vulnerabilities from leaking and maintain strategic composure in all scenarios. Selective disclosure is key. Sharing emotions must always serve a purpose: influencing behavior, building calculated trust, or reinforcing authority. Avoid impulsive sharing, emotional venting, or revealing inner conflicts. Instead, frame communications to strengthen your position. Deliver information that enhances credibility, motivates others, or commands respect. Your emotional state should never be a tool for someone else's leverage. It is a private resource, controlled, focused, and strategic. Consistent practice reinforces mastery. In meetings, negotiations, or personal interactions, monitor your impulse to overshare. Pause before speaking, assess whether revealing personal emotion benefits your objective, and then respond with intentionality. Over time, restraint becomes instinctive, creating an aura of impenetrable composure. People will learn to respect your presence, hesitate before testing you, and recognize that emotional manipulation is impossible. Comment below with one emotion you will process internally this week, rather than revealing. Like this video if you're ready to safeguard your power, enforce strategic restraint, and join the 1% who never give leverage through oversharing. Authority is not about constant demonstration of power. It is about precision, restraint, and timing. Revealing emotion indiscriminately diminishes influence and exposes vulnerability. Conversely, measured, controlled reactions communicate mastery, command respect, and instill a subtle fear that ensures compliance. When you react intentionally, your presence carries weight, and your decisions and responses are treated as deliberate, not impulsive. The elite understand that influence grows when emotion is controlled, selective, and strategically deployed. Consider coaches or military commanders in high-pressure scenarios. They rarely display panic, anger, or frustration at every setback. Instead, they project calm, evaluate the situation, and respond only at the moment when a reaction will have maximum impact. This creates authority without shouting, fear without intimidation, and influence without argument. Every measured response becomes a signal that you are in command, that your decisions are deliberate, and that emotional volatility will not compromise outcomes. Observers, colleagues, and adversaries alike adjust their behavior to align with your composure. To implement this law, begin by building awareness of your emotional impulses. Identify situations where you tend to overreact, lose composure, or reveal frustration. Practice mental pause techniques. Count to 3, breathe deeply, or visualize the optimal response before reacting. Train yourself to distinguish between moments that require strategic intervention and those that are best met with silence or neutrality. Every interaction becomes an opportunity to reinforce control, influence, and respect. Application extends to verbal and nonverbal cues. Tone of voice, facial expression, and body language must align with your intended impact. A calm, deliberate gesture, a controlled tone, or a strategic pause communicates authority more effectively than aggression or emotional overflow. By expressing measured reactions only when necessary, you create a psychological hierarchy. Your approval, disapproval, or instruction carries weight, and people internalize the rules of engagement you set through your controlled presence. Consistency is crucial. Practicing controlled reactions daily, during meetings, negotiations, personal interactions, or stressful events, reinforces the habit. Over time, this transforms instinctive emotional responses into deliberate tactical tools. Your reactions become predictable only to yourself, not others, establishing an aura of authority, reliability, and subtle intimidation. People respect your presence, anticipate your actions, and adjust their behavior in response to your calculated display of emotion. Comment below with one situation this week where you will respond with controlled emotion rather than instinctive reaction. Like this video if you're ready to amplify your authority, enforce respect, and join the 1% who command through precise, strategic emotional control. True power is not displayed in sporadic bursts. It is maintained through consistent, deliberate practice. Emotional mastery, like any skill, requires repetition, reinforcement, and structure. Without a daily framework, even the most disciplined individual can falter under pressure, allowing impulses, frustration, or fear to dictate actions. The elite understand that controlling emotion is not an occasional exercise. It is a habit, embedded into every morning, every decision, and every interaction. Over time, this consistency creates an unshakable presence, a calm authority that others respect and fear. CEOs, military generals, and elite performers exemplify this principle. Their mornings are structured with reflection, meditation, and exercises that reinforce focus and composure. Journaling allows them to process thoughts privately, identify emotional triggers, and script deliberate responses. Meditation and deep breathing cultivate calm, enabling clarity even in high-pressure situations. By repeating these routines daily, they internalize emotional control, transforming instinctive reactions into intentional, strategic responses. The result is a presence that projects confidence, stability, and authority every single day. To implement this law, start by creating a daily emotional mastery routine. Dedicate the first moments of your morning to meditation, even 5 to 10 minutes, to center your mind and regulate emotional energy. Follow this with journaling. Write down potential challenges, emotional triggers, and your intended responses. Visualize scenarios where composure is essential, and mentally rehearse measured, strategic reactions. This primes your mind to operate with control rather than reaction. Application extends beyond the morning. Throughout the day, pause before responding in conversations, emails, or negotiations. Use mental scripts to guide your behavior under stress, reinforcing the lessons internalized in your daily routine. Consistency is what differentiates the elite from the average. Practicing control daily ensures that in moments of high stakes, your composure is automatic, not situational. Your calm, deliberate presence becomes a psychological lever that influences outcomes, commands respect, and subtly intimidates adversaries. Over time, embedding emotional mastery into your routine transforms instinct into habit, and habit into identity. You no longer simply react. You operate from a position of control, awareness, and authority. Daily practice ensures that power is maintained continuously, not fleetingly, and that your presence is consistently commanding. This is the hallmark of those who wield influence effortlessly. They are untouchable, because their emotional foundation is unshakable. Comment below with one morning routine you will commit to that reinforces emotional control. Like this video. If you're ready to master consistency, build unshakable presence, and join the 1% who turn emotional mastery into unstoppable power, you've reached the point where knowledge becomes action. From reactive to unshakable, from vulnerable to untouchable, you now have the blueprint to transform every interaction, every negotiation, every high-pressure moment into an arena where you command outcomes. The world rewards those who control themselves, not those who merely react. Every emotional leak you plug, every silent pause you maintain, every calculated observation you execute builds your authority. You are no longer at the mercy of circumstance, opinion, or provocation. You are the orchestrator of your reality. The 12 laws we've explored are not abstract principles. They are practical, actionable tools. Master the art of emotional detachment to respond deliberately rather than react impulsively. Speak less and observe more, letting silence extract truth from others. Neutralize provocations before they destabilize you, and wield silence as a weapon that forces concessions. Observe micro-expressions and body language to anticipate intentions. Control your environment to minimize chaos, and preempt emotional traps before they appear. Leverage emotional distance to influence. Transform raw emotion into strategic energy. Avoid oversharing. Use controlled reactions to build respect, and embed daily routines that cement emotional mastery. Each law compounds on the others, creating a framework of permanent power and influence that elevates you above the 99% who remain reactive, exposed, and manipulable. This transformation requires discipline, awareness, and practice. Knowledge alone is useless without application. Begin today. Identify the law that will create the most immediate impact in your life and implement it relentlessly. Comment below which law you'll start with and commit to practicing it daily. Share your progress, your insights, and your victories. The 1% who consistently apply these rules do not wait for opportunity, they create it. They do not hope for control, they take it. The world bends to their composure because unpredictability is power, and predictability is weakness. Remember, mastery over emotion is mastery over life itself. Every decision you make under control is a decision that reinforces authority. Every pause before reacting is a moment you reclaim power from circumstance. Every calculated action signals that you are not swayed by fear, provocation, or fleeting desire. You are disciplined, deliberate, and strategically untouchable. Those who have mastered these principles move through the world with silent influence, commanding respect, evoking fear, and creating outcomes that others can only dream of. Every moment you control your emotion is a step toward mastering your destiny. Never give power away again. Like this video if you are ready to embrace these 12 laws as your personal arsenal. Subscribe to master the next level of strategic power, and join the elite few who understand that influence, respect, and control are not given. They are seized, earned, and maintained through unwavering discipline. Your transformation begins now. Stop reacting, start commanding, and claim the power that has always been within your grasp.